Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering? If the answer is yes, then you're ready.
I go by my legal name at work, which honestly gets a little confusing because there is a preschool child in my class that has the same name as I do. So whenever they're being reprimanded or called to contribute in class in some way, I always turn my head thinking that the teacher is speaking to me. And so the kids are really fascinated by the fact that we have the same name, even though we've been together in this classroom for 3 months. So we'll make jokes about it or say that I'm the teacher one and she's the kid one, or I'll pretend to think that someone is talking to me when they're very clearly talking to this actual 4-year-old child. I was talking to this one kid the other day who last week had asked me if I was a boy, and she was commenting on the fact that this other kid and I have the same name. I said, yep, there's 2 of us. And she said, yeah, but you're the boy one and she's the girl one. And I just agreed with her because even though I do not consider myself a boy, it's really nice to have my gender nonconformity acknowledged in some way.
I just wanna rewind. I haven't seen you in a long time. You got me feeling so lonely.
So I made this video and it kind of popped off, and it's just about accepting refugees from the US to Canada. It was like kind of a joke, but not really. And the comment section was really sad. It's a lot American, like 95% Americans being like, I'm blinking twice, let me the fuck into your country. And that's really sad. And I'm sorry for what you guys are going through. But there's a few, like a fair few white straight dudes in my comments, because I talk about white straight dudes in here, about how everybody else should be able to get refugee status. But if you're white and straight and a man, that you don't need to be a refugee. And men are fucking butthurt about it. Butthurt. They're like, you're being racist. You're just as bad as Trump. That's hate speech. It's hate speech to say because you're white, straight, and a man that the Supreme Court hasn't fucked you over yet, so you don't need to be a refugee in another country. You're acting like a victim. Get your head out of your asshole. This isn't about you.
It's always interesting to me how people say socialism proven not to work, when in fact it's the exact opposite. Socialism has been proven to work. The policies work. Socialist governments across the world have lifted people out of poverty at higher rates than any other system ever. Look at the growth of the economy and the massive amounts of people being lifted out of poverty after the 1949 revolution of China, where Mao came to power. Everyone acts like Mao is a dictator. Look at that, though. Let's talk about how Cuba has a higher literacy rate, a higher life expectancy, a lower infant mortality rate, all than the United States. And they created their own COVID vaccine despite the stringent stranglehold embargoes and the patents being held from them by the Western world. The only thing capitalism has proven is that 60 million people die needlessly every year from starvation and disease. Many of those in the African continent, where colonialism and capitalism run roughshod.
Which Pride items should we add to our game? So Pride Month is over, but we're still scheming on what kinds of items we should add into our Cozy House Plant game, because we are a whole bunch of queer developers making games for a bunch of queer players. So, do you have any flag requests? Any cute decor items we can have in a fun Pride color scheme? Leave us a comment and let us know.
I'm going to answer this question using a story, but the story itself is going to have some very graphic content. So if it's the kind of thing that makes people uncomfortable, I'm going to give you a warning before I start talking about it. And the captions are going to go right here. So you can cover the screen, do down the volume, and I'll give you a thumbs up when the hard part is over. The question that this person is asking is, how come if white people make fun of black people's lips, it's racism, but if black people make fun of white people's lips, it's not racism? We have a girl, a little girl. She's playing in her yard. And we have a man who's driving through her neighborhood. He sees her and he snatches her out of the yard. He kidnaps her, takes her across state lines, and holds her hostage in his house. Trigger warning. While she's being held hostage, he brutalizes her every single day. He beats her, he impregnates her, makes her have the baby. He does all the same things to her baby. And then if you ever see the movie Mother by Jennifer Lawrence, you know what happens to her baby? He does that to this baby. Just truly the most horrific, animalistic, disgusting people on the planet. You know, making Rob Zombie movies look like after-school special type behavior from this guy to her every single day. You're safe to come back now. And then one day they're at a gas station or a grocery store and somebody recognizes her off a milk carton, calls the police, and bam, it's over. He's caught, she's rescued, and the news blows up. It's all over the country. Everybody knows about this. Now, after a little time goes by, she gets asked to come in for an interview, and she does. And in the interview, she gets asked, what do you think about him and people like him? And she goes, I want to hit him in the head with a skillet. To which most of us would probably be like, yeah. Now the interviewer goes to his jail cell and says, what do you think about people like her? And he says, I want to hit her over the head with a skillet. The exact same sentence. The exact same sentence. Is it different? Would you accuse her of being an abuser by saying that to him? Would you accuse him of being an abuser, saying that to her? She is having a reaction. Black people are having a reaction. Indigenous people are having a reaction. Other racially marginalized groups are having a reaction from a history of violence. When they tease us or they make fun of us, they are punching up. When we tease them and we make fun of them, we are punching down because they didn't ask to be brutalized by us. And when we make fun of them, what are we reinforcing? What messages are we reinforcing by making fun of them? And what are they doing when they make fun of us? The sentence is the same. The context could not be more different. We have not achieved the equality required for everybody to be making jokes at everybody else's expense. The tables have not turned. This is not an even playing field. The power dynamic still looks like this, with us here at the top. The unequal power dynamic is a statistical fact. It's not an opinion. That is why one is racist and one is not. I hope that helps.
Harvard has been researching this for a number of years. Their researchers developed something called the implicit association test that they use to tease out unconscious bias in various people who take the test. And over 3 million people have taken this test. And what they have found is that 75% of Americans, so it's almost 8 out of 10, have an implicit, unconscious preference for white people over black people. They also found that this automatic preference, as they call it, predicts discriminatory behavior, even for people who earnestly believe that they don't discriminate at all. As a matter of fact, they say that this is empirical truth.
Know that I will never marry, baby, I'm just soggy from the chemo, but counting down the days to go, it's just a...
And since everyone's talking about the whole, like, Donald Trump doesn't pay tax thing, I do want to jump on and, like, bring up the point that, like, the president, this motherfucker, doesn't pay taxes at all. But, like, bartenders and people who are, like, literally struggling to make ends meet pay taxes. Teachers pay taxes on their salaries that are paid to them because of the taxes that y'all freaking pay. So, like, what you're telling me is that somebody who's literally busting their ass, grinding day in and day out to make ends meet, are paying taxes that then pay my salary that I then get taxed on, that then go to paying Donald Trump, essentially, even though he can't fucking pay taxes, even though he alone could fund every teacher in America. What?
Okay, so my youngest student is currently 6, and he is, like, very intent on doing, like, excellent dynamics, right? And his newest song is Deck the Halls, and he just has a forte at the beginning, and so I asked him, like, would you like to, you know, create your own version of this with, like, dynamics and stuff like that? So he was kind of, like, playing through and had great intuition with it, and when he was playing back through the piece after he had written in the dynamic signs, whenever he was playing really loud, he had some really good arm weight, but, like, each note he was doing so forcefully that he would blink. He was like, it was so cute.
Okay, listen, yo, I'm like, back in the, yo, listen, yo, I'm like, listen, yo, I'm like, okay.
A slide! Ooh, an exploding slide.
Okay, alternate approaches. This is my department. I think we can kayak farther north.
No. I think we should kayak farther north.
She literally just said that. Stop mansplaining.
Oh, well,
I'm gay. This is gay. I'm gay. We're good. We're gay. I think I'm having a panic attack.
Oh, you want to talk about facts? All right, so if the list of Nobel Prizes is anything to go by, you know, hard science, no biases, universal. What does the list say of the intelligence of women? They only make up 3% of all the Nobel Prizes. What do we make of the fact that Belgium is better at producing Nobel Prizes laureates than China? Apparently. Is Belgian intelligence naturally superior? Are we going to ignore that fact? Or could it be that both the IQ system and the Nobel Prizes are biased in favor of the very demographic that invented them? Could it be? I'm sure you're right. Some ethnicities are just naturally more intelligent, and there's nothing wrong at all with the metric. No flaw with what we're measuring or the way we're measuring it. Perfect. Infallible. You can go back to agreeing with eugenic theorists and try to practice medicine believing in biological races.